Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside the Quality Awards. My name is Ralph Peterson, and this is a show dedicated to give you the inside scoop on the Quality Award program put out by AHCA and NCAL, that is the American Healthcare Association and the National Centers for Assisted Living. This program is based on the national program, the Malcolm Baldrige Quality Award program, and I am a Quality Award consultant and an insider. That means I have been working with AHCA as an examiner for more than a decade. This is my 12th, maybe 13th year working with AHCA. I am not affiliated with them. They are not sponsoring any part of that. I'm giving you the inside scoop from my experience, just so we're all on the same page. And one of the big questions that I get asked an awful lot is, now that I have submitted bronze, where should I start? When should I start? And where should I start? The when is easy, right this second. You should have already started, no matter what the date is. If you haven't started working on your silver application, start right now. Same with gold. If you've already submitted silver and you're like, when should I apply for gold? When should I start working on gold? Right now. Start doing it right now. The where to start is a little bit more of an interesting question. Where should you start once you've already completed the bronze quality award application? And where should you start once you've already completed the silver application? The answer is the same. I would invite you to consider starting in the same spot. And it is not with the organizational profile. It is not with question 1.1 or 1.1a. That is not where I would begin. In fact, I would begin in 6.1. I would, if I was just starting the silver application, I've completed the bronze. If I was just starting the silver, I would start at question 6.1a. If I was already applied for silver, and by the way, let me say this too. I would not wait to start working on the next level application until I find out whether or not I'm going to move forward. If you submitted bronze in January and you wait until the end of May, the beginning of June, before you start working on the silver application, I'm just telling you this with peace and love through years and years of experience. You're really, really, really reducing your chances on actually winning the Silver Quality Award. The Silver Quality Award is very difficult. In fact, almost 60% of people who apply for silver the first time never win. You know why they never win? Because they wait until half the year is over before they even consider looking at the application. Don't let that be you. Same is true for gold. And it's worse because if you submitted your silver application in January, you're likely not going to find out if you won silver until the end of June. Now it's July before you crack open the gold quality award application. There's a reason that 95%, I think it might be a little higher, a little lower, around 95%. 95% of the applicants who apply for gold never win. They don't start until July? What are you? All right, don't let that be you. Listen to me. Start these programs as soon as possible. Number one, where to start? 6.1a at the silver and 6.1 at the basic level at the gold. And let me say this too. Before I dive in, I'm going to show you I'm going to break down the criteria for you. We're doing actual work here today. If you applied for gold in January and you are, waiting with bated breath, you're like, I don't know if we're going to get a site visit. Two things. Number one, you're going to find out if you're going to get a site visit, if you qualify, if your application's good enough for a site visit. You will not find out until the end of May, usually around the 28th, 29th of May. It kind of coincides with the bronze application. Though the bronze notification goes out at the end of May. And the gold, whether or not you're moving forward for a site visit, that also comes out at the end of May. Then the silver application, you're going to find out if you won or didn't win at the end of June. Okay. If you submitted the Gold Quality Award in January and you're wondering, what should we be doing as a leadership team? What should we be doing to prepare for a site visit? Fingers crossed, we're going to get a site visit. What should you be doing right now to prepare for a site visit? The answer is 6.1. It's everything, the entire Quality Award program is based on 6.1. And let me even make it a finer point. Every quality assurance and performance improvement program is based on 6.1. It is all about process, design, management, and improvement. All right, let's get right into it. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm bringing this application up. This is the actual silver application. Again, if you've submitted bronze, or if you've submitted silver, or if you've submitted gold and you're wondering where to start, this video is for you. Most people will start one of the first things that they will do is they will start looking at the silver criteria and they'll get right to the beginning. And all of a sudden, they're like, wait a minute, this looks familiar for those who just filled out the bronze. You're like, wait a minute, these are all the questions from the bronze application. And you're right, and they need to be updated a little bit. So it's not the silver application and the bronze application, the org profile of the silver, these first few pages of the silver, and the bronze application are very, very similar, but there are changes. Make sure there's a video I have out how to transform your bronze into your silver. Make sure you watch that video. Okay. And then here's a little bit more of the org profile. Most people, when they first start working at the silver quality award level, they've applied for bronze, they're now looking at silver, they're just going in order. And they're like, well, category 1 sounds like this is the place AHCA wants me to start. This is the place that the quality award program wants me to start. So, okay, I'll start with the basic question, how do senior leaders lead the organization? And you're like, and then how do senior leaders deploy with peace and love? I say this is the wrong place to start. I would go all the way, look at all my chicken scratch I'm writing all over this application. I would go all the way to the end. Just so you know, there are only 6 process categories. And I'm saying you should start all the way at the end. There's 6.1 and then there's a 6.2. Don't go to 6.2, just 6.1. I would say, I tell all of my clients, start here at 6.1. This is the place to start. How to answer this question? How do you design a key process? How do you manage a key process? And how do you improve a key process? If you are able to answer these 3 questions, you're likely going to be able to move forward with going from bronze to silver quite easily. If you are really good at understanding these 3 questions, going from silver to gold, this is going to be one of the key things for you. And if you've already applied for gold and you're wondering, what should I do? You should start right here with, well, actually, let me show it to you at the gold level. This is the gold application. This gold application, if this is the first time you're seeing a gold application, I want you to notice something. Notice 6.1 at the silver, let me go back to the silver. Look at the numbering. 6.1 at the silver is 6.1A. 6.1A. There is no 6.1 question at the silver. It's 6.1A is the first question. At the gold, that's not the case. At the gold, 6.1 does have its own question. And then 6.1A1 has its own question. That's a common mistake too. When people are applying for gold, they don't answer this first question. And that's a mistake. And by the way, you've already answered it at the silver level, so just bring your answer forward. Tweak and adjust and update as needed, but you've already answered it at the silver level, so make sure you're bringing it forward at the gold level here. Okay, now that we got all that out of the way, 6.1A1, before I get further into the question about 6.1A, I want to talk about the elephant in the room. There is, by the way, always an elephant in the room. You know it. I know it. There's always, did you know, here's a little fun little trivia for you. Did you know the most dangerous animal in captivity is an elephant? It's true. More zookeepers, veterinarians, circus performers, whatever, the more people who work around elephants are killed and injured than working around any other animal. Working around tigers and lions and bears, oh my, is safer than working around elephants. You know why? One of the main reasons is because elephants do not, it seems, have any understanding of just how big they are. And they will, if you turn your back on them, they will accidentally crush you into a wall, stomp on you, and you simply, the human body is not designed to be in close contact with an elephant. And that's important to note, because if you understand in management and in quality assurance, there is always an elephant in the room. There is always something that we should be paying attention to, something that we're probably most likely avoiding. And if we avoid an elephant for too long, it might accidentally get a little too close to you. There's always an elephant in the room. Be careful of those elephants, because they can be extremely dangerous. And here is an elephant in the room that I want to talk about with 6.1. This is a big one. I know that, I was going to say most people, I think it's true for everybody. I think it's basically true for everybody. Nursing home administrators, it's true for you. Directors of nursing, it is true for you. Housekeeping managers, dietary managers, maintenance managers, activity directors, social services directors, nurse managers. It's true for you. Here's the truth. When we get hired for an organization, we are given a job routine. We are told, this is what I'm hiring you to do. I'm hiring you to do this specific job. And this specific job already has been outlined. The steps are likely have been already formulated. Not only that, but even the indicators that an organization uses, what we would call a KPI, a key performance indicator, even these indicators have been likely already established. We know if you're getting the work done or not getting the work done. We have ways of knowing if you're doing a good job or if you're not doing a good job. Now, I have been in this situation many times because I'm very interested in always making adjustments to job routines I'm given. I have been told an awful lot of times to stop. First of all, I didn't hire you, Ralph, to write the job routine. I hired you to do the job routine. And so don't be making any changes to my job routine. This is exactly how I like it. This is exactly how I want it. I want you to go from here to here to here to here to here. Most organizations will have that kind of language, if not attitude, with you and in the job, because they don't want you. Nobody's going to let you decide who gets a raise, when they get a raise, how much raise they should get. There's going to be methodologies in line, and there's going to be permission that has to be given, and there's going to have to take in all of these considerations. And so let's just understand this big elephant in the room. There's a big disconnect when we start talking about the quality awards, especially question 6.1A at the silver and 6.1 at the gold. Every manager that gets hired to work in senior care, there's probably a few exceptions, but mostly they are being hired to manage a department and a bunch of work processes that have already been established. It is rare, not impossible, not unheard of, but it's rare that we hire somebody and go, hey, I want you to come into my organization. I'm going to hire you at a salary to run a work process or to oversee something that we haven't created yet. That we have no idea what it looks like or what you're going to be doing. We don't know how many hours you're going to need. We don't know what time you have to start and what time you can expect to end. And we don't know when your breaks are going to be. And we don't know what kind of supplies or equipment you're going to need. And we don't even know what you're going to need to know. That's pretty unheard of. Can you agree? It's pretty unheard of. It's normally, we bring you in for a specific task to be completed during a specific time of day, at a specific time, in a specific way, to satisfy a need, a desire, an objective of the organization, of the customer, of the employee, whatever. The reason this is important to identify and go over before we get started into 6.1 is because this question, 6.1, how do you design a key work process? I just want to put out there before I even begin that up until this point, up until you've decided to go for a silver quality award or a gold quality award even, none of your managers have agreed that they're going to be responsible for designing work processes. Of course, you probably have a lot of managers like me who make changes all the time, barely ever ask for permission, just make changes the way I want to. You know, I remember one time I had a manager. It was a housekeeping manager, and he had taken it upon himself he didn't like the signs on the doors. Like all the doors had signs like this is the reception, this is the activities office, this is the social services office or whatever. He didn't like the way they were labeled, and so he just went through and relabeled every door, every office, created his own little logo, his own little, and you know, it didn't bother really anybody except for me. Everyone was fine with like, who cares? And I'm like, who cares? The building's not getting cleaned. You had one job. Your job is to oversee the cleanliness of the building. Here you are making photocopies down at Kinko's. Could we not focus on that? Could we, like, of all the things? So I'll say I'm guilty of telling my staff, don't change my work process. Your job is not to change the process. Your job is just to do the process that I put in place. At the silver quality award especially, because at the gold you've already gone through the silver, but at the silver quality award especially, just know that we're asking a unique question, a question that's not been asked of your management team, your senior leadership team to do. The administrator's not been asked to do this. DONs are not typically asked to do this. Nurse managers, housekeeping managers, dietary managers, sometimes we take it upon ourselves to make changes, of course, but we're not asked to do it. That's important. It's important to note. So let's get into it. Let's dive right into this. Actually, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use my little workbook. I have a workbook for the bronze, I have a workbook for the silver, and I have a workbook for the gold quality award application. And make sure if you're finding value in this video, make sure you're subscribing to this YouTube channel. I come live every week, every Thursday, 12:30 East Coast time. I can see the chat. If you have any questions, ask them. I'll answer them in real time. And let's just get into it. This is, and the reason that I created a workbook, it's identical to the actual criteria, but you're going to see I like to draw. I like some writing space. I'm an educator, so this is how I like to teach. And so hopefully that you find this helpful. Again, if you do find this helpful, please subscribe. Consider subscribing, sharing, commenting, telling your colleagues about it, and following along. I am going to give you, this is not called Inside the Quality Awards for nothing. I'm going to give you the inside scoop on all this. If there's a specific question you have, like, hey, how does that work? You ask me. I will tell you. I will not hold anything back. Okay. So this is the entire 6.1A or 6.1 work process question. We are going to focus on two parts of this question today. We're going to focus on 6.1a, which has 3 parts, and I also want to draw your attention to 6.1c. Actually, I want to draw your attention to this last question. The 6.1c is 2 questions. I want to draw your attention to the last part of that question, because the question, how do you determine their key requirements, directly relates to how do you design your key processes used to deliver healthcare services. So let me just show you in my workbook. You see that 6.1A3 has 3 questions. You see that? Well, in my workbook, what I do is I break out each question individually because I want to answer them each individually. Just so you know, one of the main reasons, well, let me say this. Here, I keep going back and forth. A little teaching moment here. There are three main reasons, really only 3 reasons, why somebody who applies for the Silver Quality Award will not win. Reason number 1, we call originality. It's not that common, but it does happen from time to time where somebody will find somebody's old application or whatever, and they'll copy word for word somebody else's answer. It does happen. Don't do it. They use AI. They're very stellar. They're very quick. They can tell, and it's not. By the way, if you're with a company that has multiple nursing homes or assisted living centers, and you all share the same processes, no big deal. Because you wouldn't explain it the same way. You can have the same process. Just don't verbatim explaining it the same way somebody else does. Use your own words. Write it in your own words. Make sure that you do that. The second reason why people will not win the Silver Quality Award, this is true, by the way, for all 3. Bronze, silver, and gold. We're talking specifically about silver today. The second reason is because of a regulatory or one of the key requirements being that you don't have an AHCA, or you're not a special focus, or you don't drop below or above a certain survey threshold or a star rating, or you're not in good standing with AHCA, NCAL. Like, there are some regulatory reasons why you might find yourself all of a sudden no longer qualifying for the quality award. That happens a little bit more often than people having an originality problem. But again, it's really not that common. It's not that common. However, the most common reason why people who apply for silver or bronze or gold, for that matter, don't actually win is because they do not answer all of the questions appropriately. And one of the big things that they miss is answer all the questions and answer them appropriately. Answering all the questions is the thing that I see most applicants missing. For that reason, and for that reason alone, when you see me with my workbook, what I've done is I've taken 6.1a and I've broken it up into 3 separate questions. Because I do not, well, A, because they are 3 separate questions, and number 2, because I want to make sure that you do not skip any parts of the questions. I'd much rather you not win because you didn't give a good answer rather than not win because you didn't give any answer. With peace and love, right? Like, that makes sense. Okay. This is the question. How do you design your key processes used to deliver healthcare services? Notice these are in capital letters. The reason they're in capital letters is just a nod, a hint AHCA gives us to say, hey, if you want to know what a key process is, jump to the glossary and we'll tell you. Hey, if you want to know what we mean by a healthcare service or healthcare, jump to the glossary, we'll tell you. So just being in capital letters is only a glossary thing. You'll see me, in my workbook, I'll put keywords in red. I'll change the color to red just to make sure that they stand out a little bit, because that's really going to be the focus. However, now again, I'm thinking that most of you are coming here from the bronze. You've already completed the bronze application. This is your first look at the silver application. And I want to draw your attention to the word how. How. If you remember from previous videos of mine, or maybe you've worked with me in the past, keep in mind there are only 3 types of questions in the quality award application. There are who, there's a who question, there are what questions, and there are how questions. Now, at the bronze level, there was only 1 who question, there was 32 what questions, and 33 what questions, and there was 1 how question in the bronze application. Here at the silver, there are 112 how questions. In fact, 90% of the entire application at the silver and gold quality award application are made up of how questions. And when we ask you how, every time, this is a major tip, every time we ask you how, we are asking you, what process do you use? What process do you use to design your key processes that you use to deliver your healthcare services? That is the question. That is the question. Every time you see the word how, it is what process. And by what process? This is what we should be doing. This is what I should be able to do. I should be able to read your answer, and I should be able to go, okay, I see. There's step 1. Oh, there's step 2. Oh, there's step 3. Right? I should be able to see it going, okay, step 1, we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this. That is what we are looking for. Now, I'm going to give you another tip. Here's another tip. When writing your answer, now this is truly inside baseball. When writing your answer, I'm going to invite you to consider starting your answer. I want you to give it the Dear Ralph test. There's a Dear Ralph test. Dear Ralph test. The Dear Ralph is me. Imagine you are writing me a note. You're writing me a note, and this is a test. So just start it out with Dear Ralph, and you're going to answer the question with your answer. So you're going to say, Dear Ralph, the way that we design our key processes that we use to deliver healthcare services is this, we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this. Now, here's the testing part. I should be able to take your answer and be able to design a process the way that you design them. That's the test. Dear Ralph, and then write your answering the question. And the test is, could I or anybody follow along with your answer and be able to reproduce what it is you're saying you produce without going back and seeing you? I shouldn't have to go and see you in order to make sense of any of this. Dear Ralph. It's a Dear Ralph test. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Okay. Let's talk about it. Let's first talk about what is a process. What is a key process? Here, the word key means most important. And in fact, if you go to the glossary in the quality award at the bronze, silver, or gold level, you will see that they say key equals most important. Now, what is a process? What do they mean by process used to deliver healthcare services? Well, it really means job routine. It's a job routine. And you'll be able to identify the job routine because it's interesting. The main part of a job routine is also its name, meaning the point of the job routine is also normally what we call the job routine. Let's do this. Admissions. Admitting a resident to a nursing home or admitting a customer to an assisted living home. By the way, this application is for both assisted living and for nursing homes. And IDDD homes. There's no difference. There is a difference at the bronze. There's 2 different applications for assisted living and nursing homes, not at the silver. That better be true. Thinking to myself, wait a minute, is that true? I think it's true. The admission process is I would argue, very important process, right? It's a key process. It is a most important process that we use to deliver healthcare services because we need to get them in the building. Medication management or medication delivery is a key process that we use to deliver healthcare services. AM care is a key process we use to deliver healthcare services. Wound management is a key process we use to deliver healthcare services. You're seeing this, I hope. I hope you're understanding this. And so what are the processes? What I was saying before is that the name of the process is also closely related to, good Lord, related to the objective. What is the objective of the admission process? Admitting a resident. What is the objective of medication delivery? Delivering medications. What is the objective of AM care? It's to provide AM care. Get them out of bed, feed them, get them clothed, wash them, body wash, brush teeth, hair, face, whatever. What is the objective of wound management? Well, it's to provide wound management, wound care, right? It's wound care. So the first thing that I want you to know is, or to identify, is when we're asking you about your key processes, what we're really talking about are your most important job routines that you use to deliver healthcare services. Every one of those job routines has or is made up of a key objective. There is a meaningful point to the job routine. We're not just going through the motions of admission. The whole point of the admission is to admit a resident, i.e. meet the objective to admit a resident. The entire point of medication delivery is not to just go through the motions and just throw pills at people. No, it is to give patients the medication they need to help support their healthy or recovery or living or lifestyle in a meaningful way at an appropriate time, right? Like, it's to meet a key objective. So identifying, let me do it like this. Identifying the objective is the first step that we use to design a key work process. The first thing that you have to do when you're trying to design a key work process is identify, well, what's the point of the process? What are they asking us to do? What do they need us to do here? We need you to give showers. Okay, what's the objective? To give showers. I might have another question. How many showers? And who? And is it in a bathtub? Are they ambulatory? Can they stand in a shower? Do they need full assistance, partial assistance? Is it shower in a wheelchair, shower in a bed? Do we have a shower? Is the hot water on? Is there soap? Are there supplies? How many people do I need? I start asking all kinds of questions. That, my friend, is, where's my fingers? Step 2. Step 2, I start to ask questions. If I come up with the objective and you're like, hey, I want you to give showers, I'm going to start asking a lot of questions. I'm like, all right, I'll give showers. To anybody? I mean, you want me to just grab a CNA off the unit or an LNA? Start giving a shower to my favorite people? Or who do you want me to give a shower to? Who do you want me to give a shower to? I'm going to ask who. And when? When do they get a shower? And how? Like, again, are they ambulatory, non-ambulatory, in a wheelchair, not in a wheelchair? And where? Do you want me to do, is there a shower room here? Do I have to go to another unit? Is there a specific place that this person needs to get showered? And are there many people you want me to give a shower to, or just one person? And what do I need? What do I need? I mean, am I going to need a certain type of soap, or a certain type of shampoo, or a certain type of conditioner, or anything? And I'm also gonna go like, is there any supply issues or supplies that I need? Is it one person going to be able to do this, or am I going to have to ask for two people? Am I going to need a friend, right? Are they a non-assist, a full assist? Am I going to need two-person transfer? Like, how many people am I going to need? And here's the thing. Here's something fun. What does the customer want? Or does the customer have any requirements or expectations with this shower? I mean, are they expecting anything other than just a shower, or what? And speaking about expectations, does the organization, the nursing home, the assisted living, or any other department have any expectations or any involvement in the shower? And if there are expectations, what are they? And who specifically does it involve? And how does it involve them? How does it involve them? That's a good question. See, what I'm hoping to be demonstrating to you is these questions, and I want you to write this word down, all fall under a single concept called considerations. Now, the word considerations doesn't show up a lot at the silver quality word level, but it does show up a lot at the gold quality word level. So I'm just assuming that if you're here filling out the silver application, it's because you want to ultimately be a gold winning organization. And if I haven't made that clear yet already, I can help. Reach out. Step number 2, after you identify the key objective, we want you to give some showers. Step number 2 is to take into consideration, i.e., ask questions about all the things. What could they possibly need? What do we have to take into consideration? Do we have to take into consideration the amount of time we're going to need? The amount of time, what time do they need to be showered by? Do they need to get showered today or just by the end of the week? Does it have to be this morning or by the end of today? Does the schedule matter? I don't know. Are there any regulatory requirements? Are there any customer expectations? Are there any supply requirements that I need? You're getting this, right? Like, these considerations are super, super important for us to figure out, to be able to make sure that we're getting this job done, meeting the objective, touching all the bases. We want to be able to touch all the bases. That's a little baseball reference. You don't want to run around the bases and miss one, because then you'll be out. Even though you hit the ball far and ran really fast, if you miss third base, you're out. But I hit first base, second base, and home plate really great. I know. But you missed third base, my friend. Out of here. The idea of, are there any other departments involved? Oh, what an interesting question. Especially when we consider a process like a shower, because there are at least 4 departments, at least four departments, maybe 5. All right, 5. Let me just say, maybe 5. Who's involved in the shower? Well, nursing is involved, first and foremost, because they're given the shower. So the nursing aides, whether they're LNA or CNAs or STNAs, whatever you call them, they first are involved directly because they're the ones given the shower. But then, so is my wound team, because we do skin assessments. And so we've already got the resident naked, customer naked, veteran naked in the shower room. Maybe have my wound nurse come in and do a full body assessment. Maybe we do that once a week, coinciding with the shower. Oh my God, there's this beautiful word in the quality word program that we absolutely love called integration. Nothing you need to hold on to right now, but man, what a great word. Think about this. I mean, what a wonderful integration. The CNAs already have the resident in the bathroom getting a shower so they're naked, and so they can do a skin assessment. No harm, no foul. We're not to inconvenient the resident more than once. What a great concept, right? Here's the second thing. What about weights? Well, who wants weights? Well, dietary, right? Our dietitian is generally trying to collect weights on the weekly, the bi-weekly, the monthly, whatever. And imagine if you put the scale, and most of us keep scales. I know we do anyway. We keep the scale in the shower room. Get it out of the hallway. Got to be somewhere, but in the shower room. Now we have them with no clothes on in the shower room beside the scale. What if we decided we could also weigh them? Now we're getting accurate weights. We're getting skin assessments done. And the resident is being showered. 1, 2, 3 departments, three key processes: weight assessment, skin assessment, showers, all being done at one time. That, my friends, calls integration. What a wonderful thing. But we can keep going. We can keep going. Because if we bring in housekeeping, what does housekeeping have to do with showers, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. Housekeeping, not everybody, but in my experience, we certainly do it, where if you're going to give you a shower, the resident a shower, we do not want to put you in a dirty bed. So every resident who's getting showered, we strip the beds. We strip the beds so that new linen is going on the bed prior to the resident getting back into the bed because they've been showered today. Oh, look at that. Now we're changing linen. Let's add another one. Social services. Well, who do you think is the one responsible for, or the liaison between the resident and their care and the family member? Well, it's usually social services, right? So, and then there's regulatory requirements. Well, you might live in a state, a town, or whatever that has a regulation that you have to give so many showers to residents, like maybe it's once a week, twice a week, once a month, whatever the regulation. You're probably, for us it's once a week, but my point is, there's an awful lot of things to consider, and we're just talking about giving showers. I mean, it's such a simple, in theory, simple process. But if you've never designed a key work process and you've never given a shower, well, this hopefully is showing you how shower processes have been formed. A little key, let me come back over here, little teaching moment, not that one here, this one. That one is my unapologetically keto. If you are dieting, me too. I do a show every Wednesday night, 7 p.m., right here on YouTube called Unapologetically Keto. Look it up. Look it up. You might find it helpful. I love it. You might find it helpful. Here's the teaching moment. The teaching moment on 6.1a. Because most of us are never tasked, given the responsibility or the job to write a job routine, a lot of people will answer the question, we don't. They'll be honest. They'll be like, our organization, XYZ Corporation, provides us with all our work processes. I know that's true. I know. And it can't be your answer with peace and love. It cannot be your answer. You have to know how to create a job routine, design a key work process, and you have to tell us how you do it. It's not enough that somebody in your organization knows. It's not enough that somebody else has already provided it for you. It's not enough that nobody's asked you to do that. I know nobody's asked you to do it. I know. You still have to know how to do it. You still have to know how to do it in order to win. In order to win, you still have to know how to do it. Okay. I'm getting to too big on my chicken scratch here. I'm erasing everything, so hope you took good notes. If not, rewind. Let me go back to my blue pen. Okay. Number 1, I said we start with an objective. Number 2, I talked about considerations. We ask questions. That's how we assess our considerations. Step number 3, I'm going to take one of the considerations and I'm going to extrapolate it. I want to talk to you a little bit about one of the considerations, and that consideration is the time element. When it needs to get done and how long it's going to take is a very, very important step in designing a key work process. Do we have to start it today or can we wait till tomorrow? Do we have to start at 7 a.m. or can we start at 8 a.m.? Or does it not have to start till 4 p.m.? When do you want me to start? Timing is everything, because not everything, but it's very, very important. If I were to put this on a little bit of a graph, let's say that I went like this. This is the end, meaning this is where we meet our objective. There has to be a beginning. There has to be a beginning, and that is time. When do we start? In the middle between starting and ending a key process, there are considerations. We take all of these considerations, and we establish timelines, checkpoints, and key performance indicators. Meaning, how will we know when the process, in this case, the objective, is complete? That is the entire point of a key performance indicator, a KPI. How do we know? So to begin, once again, let me go through it one more time. I'll change the color of my pen just so I can highlight, as you can see. We start with the end in mind. This is number 1. It's the objective, also known as the need. Now, let's consider, what if your transportation company goes out of business? It happens. Or your transportation company is getting way too busy and they can no longer provide you with services that you need. And you're really up against a rock and a hard place. And so you go, okay, we should really consider bringing transportation in-house. We should just buy our own van. We should just be bringing people to their own appointments and not be using an outside company because they're so unreliable. The problem with that scenario is, in this scenario that I'm bringing up anyway, is you don't already have a van and you don't already have a process to provide transportation. And so you're going to have to design one. Oh, good luck. That's what we're talking about. How do you design a key work process? So in this little scenario I'm placing out here, the end would be to provide transportation to get residents to appointments. That is the objective. That is your end goal. So, as we travel back in time, and we know that we're just simply going to be identifying the beginning, which is a when question, right? When do we start? Could be also a where question, not only when, but where. In the middle of, we know we need to begin, and we know what our objective is, what we want to do in the end. In the middle of all this are considerations. And once we take all these considerations into account, we will start making sure that each one of these considerations, anything that we identify, oh, this is what we need. Oh, we got to make sure this happens. Oh, we got to make sure that happens. We start identifying our KPIs, which leads us to how we manage our key processes. Because when you're managing a key process, you're paying attention to your key performance indicators. Now, I'm going to have to break this up into a few videos because I had intended on trying to get through all 3 of these first questions in this one video, but as you can see, it's lengthy. So I'm gonna stop here, but I want to bring you down to 6.1c. 6.1c. There's 2 questions in 6.1c. First one is a what question. What? That's not a how, it's not a who, it's a what question. You're usually looking for a list here. Good, okay. But then look at this, they have another how question. The how do you determine key requirements? Well, hold on, little girl. These considerations equal key requirements. Considerations. Not everything that we consider will become a key requirement. But in order to identify your key requirements, well, my friends, you have to consider everything. Well, not everything. You have to consider the regulatory environment, the customer expectations, timing, financial restrictions or availability, training. You're going to have to consider equipment, supplies, durable, disposable. You're going to take all of these things into consideration. I have a little cheat sheet too, by the way, that I'll share. Maybe I'll put it in the comments. By the way, let me say that too. If you're watching any of these videos and you're like, can I have a copy of that thing? The answer is yes. Just shoot me an email, Ralph@RalphPeterson. Here, let me show you. Ralph@Ralph. That's my email. That's my phone number. Holla! It's my website. Okay. Well, Ralph Peterson. Here we go. It's just ralphpeterson.com is the website. But yes, you can have mostly anything that I create. You can have mostly. I won't give you everything, but mostly. I've created a list that I use with a lot of my clients. It's a list of, I think, 5 or 6, what I would call buckets of considerations. Not 5 or 6 things to consider, but 5 or 6 headings to consider, like regulatory. These are the things you would consider. Financial or organizational, this is the things that you would consider. Customer, this is the things you would consider, kind of thing. Because the consideration is going to identify the key requirements. So when you get down here to 6.1c, and it says, how do you determine your key requirements? I, as an examiner, I'm expecting you to talk about your considerations. That's what I'm expecting, you to talk about your considerations. Okay. In next week's video, I will go into management. Management of these key work processes is vitally important. And again, the management piece, you probably already have a pretty good grasp on. You probably understand that the most. You probably are not too familiar with designing a key work process, and improving a key work process is also an area that most people that I work with struggle with at first. But the management piece you probably have pretty good. So we'll do management next week. But just to give you a more firm answer, I would say that the way that we design a key work process is we start with identifying the objective. And then we take into consideration, and I would probably mention all the things I take into consideration. Take into consideration all these things. And then I consider the timing piece of it. When do I need to start? How often does it have to happen? When does it need to be done by? And then with these three components, the objective, the considerations, which also include the restricting, there might be some financial restrictions or supply restrictions or staffing restrictions. I need to be able to work around all these things. And the time consideration, and I establish, I design a specific job routine, i.e. a specific process that goes in logical order. If we were talking about giving a shower, the logical order would be to identify the resident that needs to get showered today, establish a time the resident is getting showered, get the staff to notify the staff which resident goes at what time. The staff then would take the resident from their room or wherever they are to the bathroom, to the shower room, and then get them undressed. It would not make logical sense to do any part of what I just said in any other order. You wouldn't, for instance, go to the resident's room, take all their clothes off them, then go find out who's getting dressed, who's getting a shower today, and then tell the staff which one and what time, and then bring the patient to the bathroom naked. You wouldn't do that, right? There's a logical order of things, and you start. Your beginning starts with the process has not yet begun. And your end is the process has been fulfilled. The objective has been fulfilled. And you're taking into consideration and the timing to establish this timeline and effectively. And again, little case in point here. One more time. Invite you to consider. When you're writing your answer to how do you design a key work process, use the Dear Ralph test. Dear Ralph test. I should be able to follow along with your answer and be able to create a design a work process, a healthcare process, just following your step-by-step instructions. Think of a job routine. We do this, and then we do this, and this is what I want you to do. I want you to do this, and then I want you to do this, and then I want you to do this, and then I want you to do this. First, the objective is to give a shower. So I want you to go and find out everything you can about all the considerations. Are there regulatory requirements? Are there staffing requirements? Are there water temperature requirements? Are there ambulatory versus Hoyle lifter incontinent requirements? Are there any other department requirements? Is there all the requests? And then you would consider the time, you establish a timeline, and then you would identify, using these considerations, you would identify your key requirements. This has to be done, this has to be done, this has to be done, this has to be done. Okay. I think you're getting it. Once again, if you are finding this helpful, please consider subscribing to this channel, sharing it, commenting. If you have any questions, if you enjoy the way that I explain things, then please consider subscribing to this channel, reaching out. And one final thing before I get out of here, being an administrator, being a department head, being a DON, being a manager of any kind is one of the most thankless jobs out there. You know it. I know it. We barely ever get thanked. I wrote a tiny little book called Thank You for Leading. It is a thank you card. It is literally a thank you card for managers. Management Day, Management Appreciation Day is in October, but you don't have to wait till October. You can appreciate your managers anytime. If you're an administrator, a DON, anybody with multiple, you're an owner and you have multiple administrators or whatever, and you have a management meeting coming up, I would invite you to consider thanking them by giving them this little book. This book is a story about the first time I got thanked. By the way, I've never got a thank you for, Happy Bosses Day. I've never gotten a Happy Bosses Day card. But I did get the best thank you ever, and that was from a nursing home resident. This is the story of how this nursing home resident really changed my life, changed my perspective, and gave me a thank you letter that I still have to this day. And in the end, there's 35 reasons on why you should thank a manager. We don't get thanked enough. Consider giving your managers the ultimate gift, a thank you card as a book. Thank you for leading. Go to ralphpeterson.com, go to the book section, and you'll see that the book, you can get them directly from me. I'll sign them for you if you'd like. You can buy them in bulk from me. You can also buy them on Barnes & Noble. You can also buy them on Amazon. Just to know, Amazon and Barnes & Noble is a little bit more expensive than buying them from me, and you can't buy them in bulk. You'd have to buy add 15 to the cart. Where with me, I sell them in packs of 5. So that's it. Thank you so much. I hope you found this helpful. I'll see you next week as I continue 6.1, how to manage. Now that we've learned how to design, now we'll talk about how to manage your key work processes. See you later.